today. It's a sunny day here in Ohio, but it's really cold. I hope everyone across this country is staying warm, especially our brothers and sisters out there and your families. Hope everyone's doing good. If not, call your battle buddies. That's what we're here for. Today is a very special show for me. It's bringing on some spouses of some fallen veterans who have passed due to their toxic injuries. So we're just gonna jump right on into this today. So today we have Diane Slate, Kimberly Hughes, and I know everybody remembers my first dedication on this show. It was Matt Wetnall from Ohio. He happened to have passed a few days ago, and we happen to have his wife Cassandra with us as well. And Gina Cancelino will be joining us here shortly. And I want to welcome you to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to start off with, let me pull up his picture here. We'll start off with Diane. If you can go ahead and give us a brief story about your husband and the service he was in when he served and what illnesses he had.
All right. Well, Fred joined the Army in 92, and it wasn't until the end of his career that he was deployed to a war zone in 2009 and 2011, both to Afghanistan, North and South. We knew then that the burn pits were an issue. He said something to his commanders. Fred was a smoker for 30 years, and he told his commanders, he said, he says, I'm having a hard time breathing. He said, that shit's going to kill somebody. And his commander and the XO both told him, don't be so dramatic, Sergeant Slate. And so, we made note. He made note, being a senior NCO. He had that little green notebook, and he made note every time the burn pits were, excessively, potent. And they only got doused when the SecDef or generals came around. They were at small FOBs, FOB Ramrod in southern Afghanistan and FOB Andar in northern Afghanistan by Bagram. And I would post it on Facebook. He would put it in his little notebook, and that was that. He retired in 2012. We moved back to Texas. 3 years later, he retired, or 3 years to the day he retired. He had gone to the VA for his every 6-month checkup and blood work. They called him, and of course he'd been to the VA 6 other times in this 3-year period, of course, every 6 months. And they called him on that afternoon and said, hey, your blood work's a little wonky. Call and make another appointment so you can get your blood work done. Well, at that time, it was taking months to get appointments. So it took him, basically that was August. He wouldn't have had a blood test until October. By the way, the appointments were running for lab work. So that was on Friday. On Saturday, he was feeling kind of icky, and told him just to chill. We didn't need to do any yard work or nothing. On Monday, he went to work. He complained he had no symptoms whatsoever before this, but he complained that he had a horrible headache and his vision kind of narrowed. He drove home. That man never took a Motrin on an empty stomach, and he went and took a Motrin, laid on the bed fully dressed, and laid there because obviously it was that bad that he took something on an empty stomach, and felt better. The next day he went to work, about the same time of day. He had the same headache, and his vision went white. And so his coworkers had an ambulance come and pick him up and take him to the hospital locally, and where they proceeded to do some lab work and an MRI and found a mass in his brain. Shipped him in an ambulance north of where we were located at the time. They did a few more tests, found out that he had stage 4 lung and brain cancer. And after being in those 9 weeks until his death, he'd had brain surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation, all in the form of 9 weeks, and he was in the hospital 4 different times.
Oh man.
And the VA, insult to injury, said, "Oh well, we just need a letter from your doctor saying it's more likely than not that his cancers are contributed or from environmental war zone agents," and they provided that. And the day after Fred died, I get a letter from the VA denying coverage or denying his claim.
All right. Yeah, we'll get into the PACT Act and the VA here in a little bit. Now we're going to go on to Kimberly and have her talk about Gary, her husband here. All right, Kim, tell us all about Gary.
There's my Gary. My the military of 1986. 18 years old, and he loved his country, and he educated, and he got it in. He country, and he loved so much that he went to OCS, which is Officer Camp, and started pursuing a career in the military, in the army. I was in the army as well. And 96, got married in 98, and I was living in the South. And that was my job. That was my job. It's a military wife, and it's job, and it's who we become, and deployed to in 03 to Afghanistan. Oh no, that was not 2007. And then he went again in 2013, 2014. There, we were able to Skype and see he complaining about. He would start clearing his throat, and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "It's hard to breathe out here." And I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "You're just there's these burns," and he's like, "You want to help him, and just want to do the best that you can." He was just always complaining. He, struggling a little bit. So he went like, "Oh, it's fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it." So he had like a little inhaler, and he was taking some just diagnosed. They didn't. But so needless to say, it was discovered on his physical fitness that his running times were off. There were several opportunities that they had to testing, and they failed to do it. Back to the doctor again for a follow-up. They contacted us immediately. He was already diagnosed stage 4. I met his brain not once but twice, surgeries, and within 6 days, actually.
All right, you were breaking up a little bit there, so I just want to let you know. All right, now I had the opportunity of emailing our next guest several times over the course of the last several months, and we even dedicated one of our episodes to her husband, and we also advertised the GoFundMe fund account that their friends have set up for them. And I want to thank everybody who did donate, because I know the goal was met. So, Cassandra, welcome to the show. And if you could give us your Matt's story for us, please.
Thank you. So Matt, he was in the Army at Fort Campbell. He was part of the 101st Airborne, 6th Infantry, so Band of Brothers. So he served 2 tours in Afghanistan, in 08, and then again in 10 to 11. While he was in his second deployment, he was hit by an IED, and he was extreme. Happened that the huge antenna that you see in the picture saved his life from the IED was lodged in the antenna instead of a spinal cord. He survived with, very minimal, or so we thought. And our son, he was born while Matt was deployed, and he came home 9 years, and then he went into the Army Reserves for another. We were stationed, Kentucky, Tennessee. Then when he got out, we moved to Vegas to be closer to family. He started having pretty consistent headaches. He had always, these seemed to be more migraines, more with vision issues getting really bad right around the time 2020, the end of 2020, going into 2021. By his birthday, March 9th of 2021, things were so bad that he was complaining that he was going to black out from the pain. Reporting this to his reserve unit. He had just gotten out of the reserve, but he had been consistently during every physical reporting that since the, he had been having headaches regularly, and he couldn't stand it anymore. He just said it was so excruciating. He wanted, and that was unusual for him because he was the type that he didn't doctors or care, or he tried to be tough and good, so he didn't have to miss work. And I was a nurse, and I basically, we can't do this anymore. You need to get checked. And so they did a 4-centimeter mass in the back of his brain. He had at that time, they scanned the rest of his body and found another mass in the left lung, as well as about 8 additional brain mets. So he had the brain surgery. Then he went on to drive 4 hours to Phoenix, so that he could go to the cancer treatment centers of had whole brain radiation. And then because the rare type of non-small cell lung cancer, it's called EGFR, really hard to treat. Mm-hmm. He was put on a targeted therapy, which for most people can work for up to 5 years, months before he progressed. He progressed with mets, and the lungs started to regrow. At that time, he just be close to his family back in Ohio, so we sold our house back here. and he started going to the James at Ohio State University. He was world-renowned doctor in the specific type of lung cancer that he had. He had him continue on the treatment he was on because it could possibly protect the brain, so they didn't want to move to chemo unless they which ended up being the case a few months later. He had 15 more, and the lung was continuing to grow, and he started a really aggressive chemotherapy. It was 6 hours. Made him incredibly sick. He finished the 4 rounds that was ordered Christmas, and things were looking good. The tumors in the brain, the lung had shrunk, everything was positive. And then within he was having migraines again to the point where he was saying he was seeing things and for the place, and he was starting to stutter, and I knew seriously wrong. And so I took him to the emergency room and scanned him, and they found that he had a secondary opportunistic cancer called leptomeningeal disease. It's extremely rare. It's only about 5 cancer patients get it. As far as they know, it's only in lungs. Once you have cancer spread to the brain, that it's possible to get this disease, but cruel disease. It goes into your spinal cord, into your cerebral, covers the whole meninges of the brain. So the whole sheath of the brain is covered as your spinal cord and spinal fluid. So you only live for a couple weeks from the time he was diagnosed to the time that he passed. He lived for about 2.5. It was kind of out of the blue. We had no idea that was even that it was a possible complication or that it was anything we had to worry. I knew it. He was gone.
Now, I want to thank you all for telling their stories. And the first question I have for all of you is, now, first is Cassie, did Matt ever get into the VA system at all?
He had a Purple Heart from his the IED blast. He was eligible VA coverage. He had never signed up for it before his diagnosis because of insurance through his employer, and just he was the type that he felt like there were other him, and so he never looked into his VA benefits. He never received any type of compensation. He just got out. And so once the made, then I had to go back and try to get him signed up. His medical, that was the main concern at the time, was making sure that I could take him to get the best possible care. And so I had to have his oncologist write a letter stating that he was a non-smoker, that predisposition for lung cancer. It didn't make sense why a 40-year-old non-smoker would have advanced stage lung cancer. And then, as we learned about other members that were going through the same thing that we were, that had these rare cancers, what did you burn? Because he was on very remote fobs as a forward observer. They said we burn everything. We burn batteries, we burn cheese chargers, we burn whatever spent stuff needed to be burned. You couldn't just leave it on site. And so there were things that they were burning so luckily with the letter, the VA did approve his benefits. We didn't really, I didn't have to, they didn't deny them. They did approve them because of the huge amount of information from the doctors pretty much saying that it just didn't.
Now, Kim, I know you had some problems, but we'll let you answer this as well. Dan, what kind of problems did you have dealing with the VA?
Well, since we applied before, as soon as he got sick, with the help of Wounded Warrior Project, they were helping us deal directly with the VA, so they told us. And, so we had to provide a lot of stuff while he was going through treatment. And of course, he retired, so he was covered medically under TRICARE. And of course, everybody was like, why didn't you just go to the VA? Well, it was like, well, people die at the VA. We're not going to go there. So he ended up going to the hospital that was local, and the paperwork we were providing, the Wounded Warrior Project representative was filing for us in Waco, and with the regional director there. And we thought everything was smooth, no problems there. And the day before he actually passed, they had asked, they were thinking about putting him in hospice. And then we don't know, they decided not to move him to hospice, to keep him at the hospital. And then, of course, the next day he passed, and I got the denial letter. And I mean, they had we thought at that time they had everything. We thought that we'd release his medical records and all that stuff. And it wasn't until I went to the VA locally here on Fort Hood. We had a neighbor that knew the VFW as a Veterans Service Organization or officer, and he helped the first Gulf War widow get her benefits for the Gulf War syndrome. And so he's sitting there telling me while he's circling Fred's sleep apnea, because he knew we'd gotten denied, and he's like, see if the doctor can, link anything that he's already getting disability for. And so we're talking while he's circling sleep apnea, because of course he had to have it while he slept, and he was not able to use it the last 3 days of his life. So I was able to get a letter because they couldn't update his death certificate. So I was able to get a letter from his doctor at that point, his oncologist, saying that yes, that contributed to his death, but that was not, of course, the cause. And they approved it because it was a disability that he was already being paid for. So basically I've got my benefits via loophole, I mean, lucky me, but I wanted, and I still want, the real reason why he passed. I mean, we knew as soon as they said he had, in the MRI said he had a brain tumor, we knew why. We looked at each other and we said burn pits, and people in the room were like, what? What's that? And that was in 2015, but we'd known, all the other times what he'd been exposed to. That was every the oncologist, the radiologist, everybody we had to go, every specialist we had to go to. Of course, we had to retell our story, but we had to tell them. But no matter, even though the VA said, give us these particular words on a letter, from your doctor, that it shouldn't be any problem. And then Fred dies, and in the mail, literally that day, was the denial of his claim.
Oh man! All right, Kim. How about you? What did you have to go through? Kim, can you hear me?
What I had to go through was the first time Gary was denied. He tried to get connected, and we tried, denied. We tried again, we were denied. So it was nothing but a nightmare. It was nothing but a nightmare.
Yeah, I know all about those nightmares
And-
at the VA myself.
Yeah, and like Diane, you know, it was nothing, you know, it was this and it was that, and then we had to collect paperwork. And Diane was saying, and you know, we had to get put in a position where we lost our right to go ahead and be a doctor and a lawyer, all of this stuff out, and just hope and pray. As we were screaming at the top of our that somebody would hear us.
Man.
You know what's bad, Kim? I found out that 2 months later, the hospital calls me and says, hey, the VA's never came and picked up your medical records. So how could they deny his claim without his medical records being released to them? So they denied Fred's claim without even looking at his medical records.
Now that the PACT Act is law, has this helped any of you at all?
Well, it wouldn't, you know, the only thing I'm trying to get, because I already get my benefits, is, you know, it's like I want Fred recognized as one of those who have been affected by that, because we already know that, you know, without the deaths, they're not doing a longitudinal study without, you know, the deaths being on the registry. But the only way I can get Fred to, you know, to be counted, I went in and refiled or asked for a refile as far as not getting more compensation, but getting his rating changed, getting his rating corrected to 100%. And in Texas, I get all my benefits. I mean, I get, you know, before his rating gets changed, I get educational benefits, which is fantastic. But in Texas, if you have 100%, you don't have to pay property taxes. And that is, you know, great for many widows. And I have met a few in the last couple weeks that have gotten contacted by the VA. They've just not gotten their, you know, benefits yet, but they have gone in and refiled their paperwork. But for me, you know, I've already got, fortunately for me, I've gotten my benefits, you know, not long after, because I had someone to help me through that loophole.
Now, I wish Gina was on here already, because what was it, last week? I think she found out that her claim was finally approved.
Yep.
In the VA, and gosh, she was fighting for a long time. I don't know, just almost as long as
me.
Yeah, and Kim. Matter of fact, he's a Desert Storm veteran himself too, and also served in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Right.
So I think they started filing under Gulf War syndrome, which I did, and Gulf War syndrome I think is a complete joke.
Yeah.
Diane, you just mentioned and you knew an individual who got approved under Gulf War syndrome. That's only the third Gulf War veteran I've heard of who's ever had been approved for that.
Well, and it was his widow that she was the first widow under the Gulf War syndrome back in, gosh, I think he said 2000 something. I don't even know if he told me the year, but she was the first Gulf War syndrome widow to get benefits under that.
Man, because Kim and Cassie, I know you don't know my story, but Kim and Diane do. I'm a Gulf War veteran, and I was exposed to burn pits and oil well fires while in Saudi Arabia. It took me 25 years to finally get my benefits approved. This is one of the reasons why I started advocating for the PACT Act, and this is why I do this show. This show isn't just about Gulf Wars. And it isn't just about the PACT Act. We cover all aspects of veterans issues and issues that affect veterans' families as well. We bring on all different types of nonprofits and people who can help get other benefits other than through the VA for veterans and their families.
We don't get benefits. very little benefit now that he's gone, and all of his VA payback for the month.
Mhm.
The joke. It's a
We
quarter of what his VA compensation was when he was alive, and we don't qualify. He wasn't retired, so my kids have Champ VA, which pays nothing when they
we're
go to the doctor.
after the show. I want you to stay on for a little bit. We're going to help you out. There's a lot of benefits through the VA that you and your kids are eligible for now.
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna get you assistance
Yep.
for
damn-
this.
damn right.
This is one of the reasons why I'm glad you came on the show, because we're going to help you out. There's so much available for you and your kids that we want to take you under our wing and help you out with this, so you can get all these. One of the benefits is your kids will be eligible for education benefits now, where their college is going to be paid for. There's benefits for you, such as like healthcare at the VA, stuff like that. Diane and Kim will be able to go over that with you. And Kim is, I don't know, are you a member of TAPS, Diane?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know Kim reached out to you a couple days ago because she's a member of TAPS too. I highly believe in that organization, because not just because I know Diane and Kim, but other spouses like how do you pronounce his name? We met in Washington D.C. Shri C.
Shri.
Sai? C.
Yeah.
Yeah. His wife, she was in the Army, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Passed away right shortly after the PACT Act was passed. And we met him at the White House. And
back basically a week before.
yeah. And there was so much benefits that he did not know about. So TAPS took him under their wing and helped him out tremendously in getting the paperwork filed and everything. So we're gonna hook you up and we're gonna help you get that taken care of. Now, one of the things is since Kim's phone's breaking up a little bit, she can elaborate, as I'm going to ask Diane to explain what the survivor benefits are that are eligible through the VA, if you do know those.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, like in our case, because everybody is different and it all, depends on details, but my daughter got the equivalent of, at that time, it was 48 semester credits, 48 months, 48 months of education benefits usable within 8 years of the veteran's death. I get education benefits usable within 10 years, and I don't think that there is a month span that that you're allotted. I want to say it might be 48 as well, but I have 10 years to use it from his date of his death. I get we were retired, so we had SBP, which is also another situation, which is survivor benefit plan, that was not payable if you got disability or the DIC, which is the VA benefit. If your spouse at that time was got your VA benefit, you didn't get the Army benefit that you were paying into. Now it has come to pass so that anybody that time, so see, yours and my situation would differ because my husband was retired. So I get two benefits. I get the VA benefit and I get the Army benefit, the military benefit, because we had Vietnam veterans' widows fight to get both, because we were only getting one or the other, whichever was the largest, which just happened to be the VA benefit. And so it's taken many years to get that passed and resituated. So, like I said, in different situations, it varies. I get the SBP from his military retirement, where you would not. In certain states, like I said, about getting Fred 100%, certain states you get your property taxes free of property taxes. Some states you get discount ID card or discount license plates. I have lifetime, because Fred was retired, I have lifetime TRICARE benefits. So yeah, so every situation is so different that you might not get, we wouldn't get the exact same. And my child was already 18, 19 years old. So she doesn't get Social Security benefits, where if yours are younger than that, you would get Social Security benefits. Yeah, there's so many different little things. It's like a yes or no box. Yes, that applies. Okay, well then you get this. Or no, that applies. Well, then it doesn't, you don't get this one. So yeah, so every little situation is different, but majority is education benefits, no matter what. And DIC, financial monthly allowance, no matter what. It just depends on those other factors. And then, of course, what state you live in, as far as the extra, I don't want to call them goodies, but the extra stuff is depending on state. Kim, can you think of anything else that I might have missed?
I'm thinking of the TAPS organ. There's Tuesday's Children. There's so many organizations to connect with people, and you can meet, that you can talk on the phone. There's a 20 phone number that you can call. There's phone. And
yeah, but you get those no matter what. You don't have to. Yeah, if you're a surviving spouse, you get those no matter what. I just couldn't think of the benefits that come with your VA claim.
Right. Other than benefits, you have a whole variety of
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But if he was, did they even give him a rating once they were paying him, VA disability?
Yeah, he was like 325%. Well,
yeah,
over.
That's
well,
VA math.
Yeah. They only pay you the 100%. They don't go past that. But yeah, I'm rated at like 175 right now. So, but they only pay up to 100%.
Well, and what was interesting is there was some widows here locally that their spouse got diagnosed at the VA, treated at the VA, and they got 100% the moment he died. And so, of course, they come to me saying, "Oh, you need to go talk to them." I was like, "Well, it's not necessarily they're going to give me, anything special, And it was just, to me, it was just like, I'm going to fight to keep getting told no. I'm getting benefits financially, but to get that 100%, like I said, in Texas, you get a few extra benefits than the normal, widow does. But yeah, for that person, for those few people to get treated there and to get an automatic, it's like we got punished for getting health care someplace else,
There's also
we have with like so my husband was H grant to do our bathroom to make it and the VA wouldn't help you find a contractor, and around here would work with the VA with the way they did the payment for it, and $20,000 they were going to give to make the bathroom so that he could use it. The bathroom was gutted, and then we finally found a contract, and we submitted the paperwork, and it was in the process of getting the approval and work started. So now I have a gutted bathroom, and the VA is like, sorry about the grant, dies with him. So it's just one thing after another. I mean,
Yeah.
See, this is why I'm glad you guys came on this show, so we can fight to get stuff like this corrected, and we'll see what we can do about that bathroom too. We'll see if we can't find somebody to help you out with that.
Where are you at,
now,
Cassandra?
We're just outside of Columbus, in Ohio.
Ohio.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's right. Sorry,
Right,
Tim.
now that we've done, talked a bit about the VA and the PACT Act and that, what do you all think needs to be improved as far as widows and spouses and children of fallen heroes? What needs to be improved in order to assist you better?
I don't know. I know Kim and I are a lot alike. A title?
Something, because we're not, I don't know what we are, to be honest. Like, that blur of, I don't know what you are. Like, you're just kind of, it's sad, like, that sucks, but we're not looked at as the same as if he came home and died. I mean, I don't know what the difference is. Like, I mean, to me, that's insulting, because, like, yeah, he came home and lived 10, like, it just,
Well,
that to me is just crazy.
You're still a surviving spouse, and you're still a Gold Star spouse because he died from his service-connected disability. Period. You're
But
a
most definitions of it say they died in a war.
Right. You're right. But the definition
So I don't
now
qualify for any of those type of things and things that would be helpful to not have to pay for right now. Like, they take that. So it's like, what is the definition then? If I'm not, like, basically his military service doesn't mean anything once he died. People, like, it's when you go someplace to try to get benefits but he didn't die over there, that's it. Like, it's not looked at the same. And to me, my husband's proper screening. If he had come home and when he was hit by the IED, they had been MRIs like they should have been doing for him, they would have saved his life. But so now, like, we're just left with this, like, sad story. That's it. Like, we're not looked at as if he died, served data as he died of cancer.
Well, and unfortunately, we've all had to walk that walk, because the Gold Star community, most of those that died in battle, their spouses look at us differently. And I don't care what anyone says, they look at us differently, but they've also changed that. Your husband did die of service-connected, illness, whether he got out whether it affected him before he got out or after he got out. It's just getting the right person, whether it be a VSO from the VFW or disability DAV, the Disability Veterans of America. There's always someone. You don't even have to deal with the VA. There's always someone, TAPS, that are going to help you with that paperwork. But we've all walked that walk. We've all not had it easy. We've all had to fight when they were suffering. We've all had to fight after they've died. And we all lost money the moment they died because the government sucked it right back out of our bank account. So there was periods where we didn't have anything either. And we had to figure out, Fred died on the 22nd of October, and I hooked up with Rosie and Leroy at Burn Pits 360 on the 2nd of November. And, it's like I was already doing my own thing, trying to get my benefits because I was not going to let the VA get away without supporting, you know, what they caused. And there is an organization that will help you. You just haven't found it yet. You found us. I mean, we're gonna, you know, we're gonna do what we can to help you. And I mean, Tim will steer you in the right direction, but you're not alone, and you're not nobody. You're not nothing. You are a surviving spouse, and
That's right.
you know, and you will be a Gold Star spouse, because once they deem that his death was service connected, then everything, you know,
Right.
everything changes for you. You'll have so much more support than you can probably handle. I don't get involved with TAPS because that's not the kind of support that I need or that benefits me, but it benefits so many people, especially with young children, that you get so much support that you don't know what to do with it. But you're not alone. I promise that. And
That's right.
it does feel, it's been 7 years for me, and I know it feels like, you know, especially when your friends, you know, everyone that you know starts kind of backing away, and you're there to deal with the grief all by yourself. We know exactly what that feels like. And I still have those moments. I've spent a lot of time alone, but I know that I'm not alone because I have friends like Kim and Tim and Kevin and Burn Pits 360 that I could call in a second if I needed. But we will help you, and we're going to do whatever we can to make sure that that you get everything that you deserve.
That's right. That's
I'm
right.
so sorry that it's a horrible feeling. I know. I've been around Gold Star spouses, and you know, I had some welcome me with open arms and say, "It doesn't matter. You know, your husband died, you know, from his illness." And then I've had some just kind of look at me like, "Whatever," you know. And you just gotta just power through. You know, he would have wanted you to stay strong. And like I said, I know it's so early to hear someone like me tell you that, but I guarantee it does get easier, and we're here to help you. I promise.
We
Sorry.
were you at one time. We were new for trying to find our way. You know, I'm probably breaking up. I do apologize. Again, you're not alone. And you know, Sandra, I'm very, very proud of you. I know Diane, we're very proud of you
Yes.
for taking the question, what can we do? We can. It's exactly what you're doing right now, Cassandra. You spirit alive and be what we could do, Tim.
Yep. I'm telling his story. That's how you get through it. Is you tell his story and you say his name. And anybody, you know, that wants to, don't ever hold back on whatever you feel like telling them. And it's going to be hard. I was in front of the Texas Senate. We were trying to get the burn pit registry passed here, and I was in front of the Senate, and I cried the whole time. But you know what? I got, and I get when I get nervous, my neck gets red, and I cried the whole time. But you know what? I told him on his deathbed that I would make sure Capitol Hill knew his name. And sure enough, that first couple of months, that's all I did was tell his story through tears. Any news outlet that would hear me, that would listen, I was telling it. And that helped me. I don't know about you, Kim, but that helped me get through it. The first year I put 60,000 miles on my Jeep, and I was just, it was kind of my period of, what do they call it? Like distraction period, because it's like I had especially this first couple of weeks for you have business you got to tend to. You got to take care, you know, get your benefits, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and the grief's going to hit you no matter what, whenever it feels like it. You can't control it. If you're in the dang grocery store, it's going to hit you. But we need to get you what you need to take care of your family.
We all advocated for the PACT Act, not for us, but for people like you.
Yep.
For people like your husband, for Matt.
Yeah.
And other veterans going through, and spouses and families going through exactly what you're going through, Cassie. That's why we did what we did. So we're going to make sure you're going to get the care that you need.
My husband had a lot of young soldiers that had young families that they didn't retire. They got out, but they were like our kids. And I told him, I said, you know what? I said, this is why I'm doing this. It's not bringing my husband back, but it's going to help his soldiers should any of them get sick, because that's what they were afraid of. They were like, how did he get sick and die in 9 weeks? 9 weeks after his brain tumor was discovered. And, you know, they were like, when am I going to drop dead? And I was like, I can't have that. Those are my kids. I can't have that. We were with them for 2 different deployments in 2 different locations, Fort Hood and Fort Knox. And I'm like, I can't have them worrying about what about my spouse, you know? But yeah, that's right. I mean, it's not bringing our spouse back, but we can do what we can. We're doing what we can to help spouses just like you.
That's right, Diane. Service. I did get service connected, but because I knew that there was other people out there. Oh, you know, you're service connected and years for it. But I didn't stop our flag, and I was waving it all over the place because I knew what that's like. It's like, oh, everybody, I'm fighting for it. And I did service connected. I knew there was other people out there that were, you know, making funeral arrangements for their spouses, and I couldn't give up on them. I've been to all people all over the United States, and I went. Rain, Tim was there. Tim knows. And we did everything that we could, and I can tell you what was it like, Tim, when we were in the PACT ACT.
Oh yeah,
it was amazing.
Now, one thing that that I've been trying to educate people on is that spouses of military members are serving in the military right alongside them. You don't deploy, you don't have to do all the training, but you take care of the home front, which is the most important job in a military family, is taking care of the home front. So by advocating for the PACT Act, we're starting to get people to realize how important spouses are, how important the children of military members are, and that you matter. And if it wasn't for you, your husband wouldn't have been able to do the job that he did. He would not have been able to serve his country the way he did. So we're here now to make sure that spouses like you get taken care of, get every single benefit available to you and your kids. Because the military needs to start recognizing that the military family is the most important tool they have. And they're starting to realize that. Because of people like Kim, people like Diane, Leroy, Rosie Torres, John Stewart, even. John Stewart, the comedian, when he was with us, he even stated how important the military spouse is to the military. So we're going to make sure that you're going to get taken care of. So
hey, Tim, you have that PACT Act page for the surviving spouses. Maybe you can provide that. And that
yeah.
Kind of thing.
It got buried into my cloud, so I had to find it, pull it up. So I will be emailing it to her.
I'll send it to you when I've got it in my, because I've got it in my email.
Yeah, we've got flyers that we're going to send to you on what's eligible to you through the VA, and somebody is going to reach out to you to help you go through all that. Now, I know I'm missing some other important stuff that people out there need to know about being a surviving spouse. Kim knows my short-term memory isn't all that great these days. They found another lesion in my head, so I'm getting that taken care of. But I know there's something I'm missing. Because I feel the military spouse needs to be put up on a pedestal way up there, even higher than us military members.
Sacrifice too. not just them.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, because they've got to come. They've got to
Yeah, I
have that warm, soft place to come home to.
Mm-hmm. And
not only do our children make the ultimate sacrifice.
mm-hmm. Now, unfortunately, Gina or Kevin could not join us. Yeah. Gina's still having some problems at home that she's trying to get taken care of.
Yeah.
But one thing I do want to say too is to Gina's daughter Ava, when you watch this later, happy birthday, girl.
Oh, happy birthday.
Sweet 16.
Woo!
Sweet 16.
16.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Ava.
And Isabel, break a leg, girl. You're gonna do good in those plays. Break a leg. So we're gonna go ahead and end the show here. People, you can email me with any questions you have for any of these ladies. I'll get those questions out to them. I want to thank Becky Lee, who's been putting in some notes in the chat here. I'll put her last one up here because yes, organizations like the VFW, American Legion, and Vets, they can assist as well. I don't know if those, auxiliaries at certain posts might have programs to help surviving spouses. But those organizations can help deal with VA claims as well. TAPS will probably be reaching out to you to help you with your dealings with the VA as well, Cassie. And I know there's other organizations out there. So when I come across someone who can help you with other things that TAPS can't, I'm going to send those on to you.
TAPS is pretty thorough. I know the few things that I ever, I did have to go in, and I know families have to go in and sign up on their website. They just don't get a notification that you need their assistance. But all questions you've got, drop it on them, because if that one person you connect with doesn't have an answer, they will send it to the department that can, such as educational benefits. But
yes.
And did you all bank with USAA, Cassandra?
Yeah, I have USAA.
Well, I don't know if you've dealt with them yet, but they are so helpful. They do have a bereavement department, and that person, I know the person I dealt with was by far made the whole process so much easier. So reach out to them, and they can help you with what you need for your financial holdings with USAA, and they have a checklist that they go through, and they'll be able to help you out as well. And they were very helpful to me. I was amazed.
and then, you being an Ohio resident, also check in with the Ohio Veterans Service Commission. It's run by the state of Ohio.
Yeah,
there are benefits.
That's who my VSO is through.
Okay.
I saw him yesterday, but he just said that the only thing I see.
Okay, I'm going to have to call my my person up and have her get on this, so we can, because there's things in Ohio that a lot of spouses aren't aware of that they're eligible for here in the state. So I'll get on that as well. All right, ladies, I want to thank you again for coming on. Y'all are so very strong, so very brave. I am so honored to have you all on here.
Thanks for asking, Tim. Always here for you, buddy.
And Cassie, I know I never met your husband, but I feel like I know him. So God bless you, woman. Really, really do appreciate you. Sorry, I gotta kind of end, but if y'all can stay on for a moment here. All right, and next week, if I don't get sent down to Miami for a case study, we're going to have General Russell Honore, who's a Gulf War veteran on. He's written some books. He's also very outspoken on the PACT Act and how it's going to help all of us. He's a big, huge supporter of it. And he's also a big environmentalist. So we're going to have him on, talk about all that. And we'll see you all next week.
Okay. Because Andrew, I'm going to send some stuff to Tim to send